The most expensive hire your company will make this year is someone you've already hired. It costs more than the salary, more than the recruiter fees, more than the lost productivity while the role sits vacant. And almost nobody puts the number on it. It's the promotion you got wrong. I'm Thomas, founder of BlueChip People Strategies. We work with leaders and organizations who want their organizations to be good places to work and to perform like it. This is the show about doing both. Here's the pattern. You have a great individual contributor, best engineer on the team, top salesperson, most respected nurse on the floor, the person everyone goes to when something hard needs to get done. And most organizations have built exactly one way to reward that person: promote them. So they become a manager or a team lead or a director. And from that day forward, they're being asked to do a job they've never been trained for, while no longer doing the job that made them incredibly valuable in the first place. That's not a promotion. That's a role change without a role change. And here's the part we're sitting with. This isn't a story about bad leaders or careless companies. Most organizations doing this are doing it because the reward structure they inherited only has one lever. They're working hard, they care about their people, and the system still pushes them toward the same outcome every quarter. The better move is to build leadership capacity before you need it. That costs something now to prevent a cost you can't yet see. It's a hard trade to make, but it's a trade more and more strong organizations are starting to make with purpose. And that's the opportunity. When someone steps into a leadership role before they've been developed for it, there's a real cost, not in theory, in the numbers your CFO would recognize if someone took the time to total them. And the value of naming these costs is that every one of them is preventable. Cost one, the team dynamic shifts. Their best peer is now their boss. Yesterday, they were teammates talking about work at the local pub. Today, there's a significant power dynamic to navigate. Trust takes time to rebuild, and the team's best problem solver is now in meetings about budget instead of solving problems with the department. Cost two, the development gap. Leadership skills aren't learned by doing alone. They're learned by being trained, coached, and reflected back. When that investment doesn't come with the role, the new leader is handed a budget, a team, and a calendar invite to a quarterly review and asked to figure out the rest in real time. Most people struggle with it. It's not a character flaw, it's a setup. Cost three, strong individual contributors who end up with an undeveloped manager tend to leave first, not because they're disloyal, because they have options and they use them. So now there are two gaps to fill, not one. The leadership role still needs support, and the top performers who moved on also need to be replaced. Cost four, the next hire. Here's the math worth doing. When a leader is struggling, the cost doesn't stop with them. It extends to the team that moves on. There's a recruiter cost for the leadership role and the contributors who left. There's the ramp time for the next person, and if that person is also undersupported, the cycle repeats in perpetuity. The role you've already filled can quietly become the most expensive line on your books because the cost compounds, which is exactly why getting it right the first time pays for itself. Here's the reframe that changes everything. A promotion isn't a reward, it's a role change. And when an organization treats it purely as a reward, the unintended message becomes the way we recognize your value is to move you off the work you're great at to something we're not sure you're great at. Nobody means it that way, but that's certainly how it can land. The good news is that the fix is straightforward, and the organizations getting this right do three things differently. One, they treat promotion as a role change, which means development happens before the role, not after. If you can see that someone is going to be a leader in the next 12 months, start building that capacity now. Coaching, stretch assignments, a formal program. So the day they get the title, they've already done a lot of the role's real work but in lower stakes contexts. 2, they run the 6-month runway. 6 months before a promotion is real, the person is already doing pieces of the new role, leading a small team, owning a budget line, sitting in the meetings they'll soon be running. Mistakes happen in this window, and that's exactly the point. It's far better to make them while there's still a safety net. 3, they have honest conversations. Not everyone wants the leadership role, and that's useful information, not a problem. Some of your strongest individual contributors will be happier and more valuable staying in the work they love, and many of them know it before anyone asks. An organization that treats individual contributor as a respected, well-paid career path keeps its best people and makes better leaders out of the ones who genuinely want it. This is why language within an agreement around the most senior person will automatically assume a leadership role is problematic. It puts people who genuinely may not want that role in a role where they may not feel comfortable contributing. My recommendation to organizations would be to have some opt-out language if you do have seniority language. I once worked with someone in an organization where every role that they were in, they absolutely crushed. Inherently, the organization took note. They noticed that they met or exceeded all timelines. They brought forward problems proactively. They were symbol of what success looked like within an organization. So they got promoted, and then they got promoted again, and then they got promoted again. What got them here, frankly, wouldn't get them there. And so when they ascended into a leadership role, they used the same playbook that they had created successfully in the independent contributor role. And it didn't go well because they still approached the work the same way. If you're a leader running promotions, try the 6-month rule. The strongest promotions don't happen cold. If there isn't a 6-month runway to develop someone, that's worth knowing before the title goes on the door, because it tells you where to put your effort first. This holds especially when the pressure is high. A little runway under pressure is what keeps you from running the same loop again in 18 months. If you're the one being promoted, ask for the development. In writing, people change, people forget. Before you say yes, a simple question does the work. What does the development plan look like for the first 90 days? A clear answer is a great sign. A vague one isn't a deal breaker. It's an opening to co-design the plan yourself. The organizations that invest in your development, or at least talk about it before the role, are the ones setting you up to win. And it's completely fair and reasonable to ask for that. You only have one career, you might as well try to get it right. If you're watching someone get promoted without support, say something useful. The team usually senses it. The new leader often senses it too. A quiet, kind, specific word to the leader or to the people who can resource them is one of the most valuable things a colleague can offer. Naming it generously is how good organizations can course correct early. The promotion you got wrong is more expensive than the hire you haven't made yet. But here's the better news. It's also the most fixable. A little runway, a little development before the title, and the whole equation changes. If you're a leader thinking about who's next in line, that's the work we do. At BlueChip People Strategies, we help organizations build a development runway before the promotion, so your best people step up ready, not exposed. If that's a conversation worth having, please reach out. The link is in the description. And if you're the one being promoted or hoping to be, we've put together the promoted playbook for exactly that moment. It's what to ask for and how to set yourself up to win in the role, also linked below. Wherever you are in that picture, subscribe and come back next week. And that name we mentioned at the start, it's the Peter Principle. Lawrence Peter described it in 1969, and the idea is simple. In a hierarchy, people tend to rise to their level of incompetence. Because each promotion is a reward for doing the last job well, not proof someone can do the next one, for decades it got treated as a punchline about bad managers. It isn't. It's a design flaw. And everything we covered today is how you design around it. Next episode. Development isn't a perk you offer when budgets are good. At a leadership salary, it's part of the role. We'll do the math on what it costs to skip it and what it returns when you don't. I'm Thomas. This is Blue Chip People Strategies. Peace out.